What's going on, folks? It's your boy again, Dr. Sean Thomas, back in the building. Be More Today's show, episode number 88 for season 3. Thank you so much for joining us. So glad to be back. As always, Be More Today is everywhere. We're on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter. The Be More Today show has been growing, now heard in 53 countries. We are moving, folks, and it's been great, and your love and support has been appreciated. So always know that I'm loving your love for this show. And as always, check out BeMoreToday.com for my book. Our swag store is open. The More Swag store, the podcast really is on there. And all of them we're putting out there in terms of physical content, exercise, everything about you being the best version of you continues to be on there. So follow us. My quote for today is simple. Success is the product of daily habits, not once in a lifetime transformation, by Jamey Schrier. Folks, this has been a year where I said I am going to put my money where my mouth is and do what I have to do. But it takes daily steps to get these things done. And I wanted to invite someone on the show who inspires me. You know, I've been blessed to get messages from you guys saying, "Oh, Sean, you inspire me," and I really do appreciate that. But those things happen because people inspire me as well. And one of those people is I can say good friend now, my good friend and author and physical therapist, Dr. Jamey Schrier. Now, Jamey Schrier was on season 2, episode 65, entitled Minding Your Business, 7 Steps to a 7-Figure Practice. And lots of you checked out that show and really enjoyed the knowledge he shared with us, right? The nuggets that he shared with us. He wrote a book, which I read, Practice Freedom Method. Awesome book. We're going to talk about that today. But if you guys do not remember, Dr. Jamey Schrier, PT, is a licensed physical therapist, former practice owner, and author of the Practice Freedom Method, and founder of Practice Freedom U, a company solely focused on helping physical therapists build highly profitable practices while living the life that they deserve. After growing and then successfully selling his PT business for a substantial multiple, Jamey began teaching practice owners his proven business, building methodologies to generate consistently more referrals, hiring amazing staff, and being able to work less while making more. He has helped hundreds of private practice owners successfully grow their business, achieving financial prosperity and freedom. And despite today's unpredictable and ever-changing times, he has done so many things to make sure that we are living our best lives. And folks, if you ever want to be inspired to go out there, if you're a practice owner, you're a PT, looking to be more, to go out there and do what you know you can do, Jamey Schrier is your guy. So without further ado, welcome back to the show for episode 88. I can say now, my good friend, Dr. Jamey Schrier. Jamey, what's going on?
Oh, Sean, thank you so much, man. That's a lot of words. Man, we got to shorten that bio. That's too many words. But thank you so much. So happy to be back. And 88. I'm gonna give you a little nugget about 88, and your audience will probably be like, "Man, that dude is old." 88 is when I graduated high school.
There we go, folks.
88. Man, that doesn't seem like long ago. But anyways, so glad to be back, and I appreciate the kind words. And you know, we all need people who inspire us. You know, inspiration is huge in helping give us the confidence and motivate us to be more, as you say. And so glad to be back. So glad to ask to be back, and appreciate you. And you are certainly my good friend too. So this is wonderful.
Hey, Jamey, listen, I read your book. I made it a priority to read this book before the end of last year. I'm thankful you sent it to me in the mail. And for any PT who's trying to do their own business, or anyone actually in the healthcare business who's trying to do their own thing, this is a great book to lay down a foundation for where you need to go to get what you want to get done. I have a lot of questions for you, Jamey, because as you know, I'm trying to do my own thing. And I've been talking about this journey for a long time on the show. We just finished this 40-day journey that I started at the beginning of this year called Project 40, which is basically my book, which you know about, and my steps to greatness, showing people how they can get from their thoughts to action. And every day on the podcast, we gave like a little synopsis of what was going on. But now that that's over, right? Now that we're in February, moving forward into what's going on, I'm recognizing that for me, there are still some phases I have to go through to get from the thought of wanting to have my own practice and take this Be More Today thing to the next level, to put it into action, to put it into play. And your book was very helpful in laying down the foundation for those things. The quote for today is basically about success being daily habits, not a lifetime transformation. And I think for me, when I think about that, daily habits for me is okay, well, laying down, where do I want to even start this thing? And you mentioned to me earlier in our last conversations about who is going to be my target audience. What do I see myself doing when I wake up every day? Am I treating patients? Am I running a business? Am I doing both? Who's my avatar? Like, who's my quintessential client that I want to see when I work with? It's going to be an athlete or someone else. And I've been thinking about those things and putting together a portfolio in my mind of what I see myself doing, as I graduated high school in '99. So, there's difference here. But for me, I see myself doing certain things during my 40s, right? That I can now visualize myself as an owner. I can now visualize what I want my clinic to look like. I can now visualize the people I see coming in there, and I see myself doing some fitness classes also, and some running trainings for my running crew, and a number of things coming together now, which is all thanks to you and to this book. So I just want to say thank you, because I think that the title Practice Freedom is the right title for this book. There's a freedom that comes with you being able to visualize what you want to do. And it does go beyond the normalcy of what we as clinicians and as PTs or OTs or whatever the case may be, kind of get inundated with, in the sense that we can't move forward from the box. Now, there's a box, I think, that I played for a long time, where it came to, yeah, well, you got to graduate and you're going to work at this place, and you see this many people for this many hours, and then you're going to go home. And a lot of people get very content in that. But I think there is a small few, and you're one of them as an entrepreneur, and I am as too, who they just want more. And you've inspired me to say I do want more for whatever my practice, which I do want to have and I am going to have, is going to be, and how it's going to look. And I just want to just thank you really for inspiring the journey and the book and everything else you've done.
Well, I appreciate that, and I appreciate your thoughtful words, and kind of the deeper meaning that you got from the book. I mean, I wrote the book. It was based on my journey as a business owner, and there was nothing out there at the time anything like this. There's some how-to books, how to generate 50 million patients in 5 days, and there's little clickbait kind of books out there. But at least in healthcare, there was no book that was just an open and honest assessment of someone's journey. And I was like, I went through a shit show in my journey. It wasn't easy. It wasn't, everything was great. I mean, it challenged my marriage. It challenged my, me as a father, me as an owner, me as, it challenged everything I had. But when you're clear on what you want, right? Freedom for me freedom is control, right? When we talk about freedom, practice freedom, you want control over your business. You want control over your income. You want control over how you utilize your time. You want control to bring in the kind of people that you want to bring into as a staff. So, sharing this with other people, and I've gotten, so much feedback. I mean, I don't care if one person got it. I just felt the need to share this journey, to be open with people that, look, this isn't easy, right? You mentioned this idea of a box, right? We're in this box. Nobody wants to be in a box. Think outside the box. You talk about being you, being the authentic you. I have a saying that says, authenticity is be the you that you could be if you could just be you. Be the you that you could be if you could just be you. Who really are you? And when you start tapping into that, not what people think you should be, not what the profession thinks you should be, and you follow the rules. Well, you get out, you should work at a hospital to get your hands on a lot of stuff, and then maybe you should go into and be a therapist at an outpatient place, and then you should be a director, clinical director, and then maybe you should open up a place. And This is what I was told, and I followed them. Well, you know what? Part of me wishes I didn't. Part of me just went after what I wanted, to be an owner, right? Yeah, you can get some experience somewhere, but you still gotta go through the trials and tribulations of ownership and being comfortable with that identity. Like you and I have had lots of conversations off camera, so to speak, off microphone, and a lot of it is around you getting comfortable with this identity of who you really are. And I think I think it's important for us to really identify and kind of accept that and realize that we choose our identity. We choose that.
Yeah.
Right. And one of the hardest identities I think we have to come to grips with is when you go into business, accepting that you actually are a business owner. You know, one of the first identities we had to come to grips with was we're a physical therapist.
Right.
We're a professional. We're a doctor. Okay, you know, that's kind of cool, you know, saying yourself you're a doctor and all that. But when you start a business, I've seen, Sean, people have really difficult time saying, I'm a business owner. Because when people ask them, what do you do? I know for me, I reverted back saying, I'm a physical therapist. That was my identity. And how you think will determine how you communicate and how you act, which will determine your results. So we have to really embrace this idea of who we want to be, who we really are. And that's what I hear you telling me. You're like, you know, I started to really think about and give myself permission. I love that word, permission, to give myself permission to be an owner, to think about having a place, to think about having programs, to think about what type of, you know, clients that I want to treat and help. If you don't give yourself permission to do that, you never would have allowed yourself to explore that and have more confidence now and be able to actually visualize, man, I can see this actually happening.
Yeah.
So, you know, I just think that idea of really just being this authentic you know, understanding that we all are in this box and that box was trained on us, but it's not really who you are. And it's not what you can be. Whether you're in business right now and you want to look at growing, you know, it's really, man, it's possible.
Yeah. You know, it's funny you mentioned the excitement that comes with appreciating and recognizing that you're a doctor of physical therapy. Yeah, that's because that was the goal for so many of us for such a long time, just to get through school, get through undergrad, get through grad school, get through college, right? And then get that degree, pass the board exam, etc. And then that was like, okay, yes, you got that. And for so many of us, myself included, that's been my identity for such a long time. Oh, what do you do? I do physical therapy. I'm a physical therapist, and I pride myself in that. And I'm not saying that the glamour of that has faded, but you do get to a point where it's like, okay, well, I know I'm more than that. And I've done that for the longest number of years now. But I do want to take that to the next level, which in my mind, and we've talked about that, is the business ownership and the business entrepreneurial road, right? So, you know, I've taken a lot of steps since the last time you and I spoke last year. We have Be More Today physical therapy. We have that branded, and we have that trademarked, and you know, a number of things have been put in place to set up, you know, our bank accounts and our websites, and all those things on the outside are all taken care of. But I will be honest with you, Jamey, you know, one of the things that I'm struggling with, and one of the things that is not nerve-wracking, because I think you calmed down my nerves the last time we had our conversations, but just the lingering thing now is, well, where do you do it? Where do you set your stake? You know, I think about these cartoons with the Martian cartoon, where he puts his stake on Mars, right? Or Bugs Bunny puts his stake on Mars and says, "This is my land." Well, where do you set that? And you know, like, where do you put your place down in? And where does the fear of, is this going to work or not, does that ever really go away? Because in chapter 2 of your book, right, entitled Unfair Advantage, you had wrote that building your business around this passion, you'll create incredible success and happiness. And I have a lot of passion. right? I have a lot of passion for the people I want to work with, a lot of passion for the runners I want to work with, and all kinds of people. But there is an underlying fear that what if it doesn't work? What if you do all these things and you take the step, and yes, it's the next step to take and it's the most logical step to make. But if you do all these things and it doesn't work,
Hey, Sean, you wouldn't be human if you didn't have that.
right?
Right. Humanity is, well, what if it doesn't work? And, fear can be two things. Fear can be a detractor, meaning my fear of what if it doesn't work is greater than my fear of staying where I am. If the fear is greater, it becomes a detractor. And it keeps you where you are. It keeps you paralyzed. If the fear is a motivator, and that's greater than the fear of what if, you move. And you've seen people in this country. I mean, people have done some amazing things in this country. I mean, everything we touch, an entrepreneur created. Zoom was an entrepreneur. Somebody had to put up a heck of a lot of money or borrow a lot of money and an amazing amount of time, and to go through every emotion 1,000 different times to ultimately create what they had a belief in creating to do. Being an owner is not for everyone, because everyone doesn't have the willingness to take the leap of faith and trust yourself. Trust that it will work out. Now, blind faith, I don't necessarily believe in. Blind faith. I believe in, I have faith that I can do it, and I'm going to seek out people and experts to help me do it because I want to put the chips in my favor. Because there's nothing that you want. There's nothing that anybody here wants. Nothing that someone else hasn't done 1,000,000 times.
Yeah.
Meaning where you are right now, looking up at that ceiling that seems impossible, is somebody else's floor. That was once where you were. So only you can answer is what you want, not the business itself. The business is a means, right? The business is just a means. I do this. I help practice owners and build and grow their businesses, and so they can have what? So they can have more control over their time. So they can have more control over their money and their income, so they can have a better life. So they can be with their family, be with their friends, provide for college. You see, I'm not selling a better business. I'm selling what the business can do. That's what moves me. That's why I do this. I didn't have a choice, because that's what I'm about. Now, how I do it? Yeah, I need help. I got mentors. I got people that help me. But you have to look at, what are you doing this for? What's going to be the thing that moves you? What are the things that you want? And if that excites you, there's a great saying. If your dream is big enough, the facts don't matter. See, the one thing that holds us back, we are very, very smart people. We have smart people syndrome, right? SPS, smart person syndrome. And with smart person syndrome comes this tendency of procrastination. And procrastination comes from this idea of the word right, not W, but the word right with an R. I want to be right. Sean, that's what you're telling me. What if it doesn't work out? What if I'm not right? What if I don't open up in the right location? What if I don't, learn to hire the right people? What if I, you're trying to put yourself against this perfect way of doing things. Because, and this is my theory, because I've dove into psychology so much, especially since I've been in this business of coaching and training and stuff. We've been right our whole life when it comes to our academic, at least academia. You didn't get into PT school by being wrong a lot. C's did not get you into PT. C did not equal PT. So you've learned that if I work hard, study hard, and get good grades, then this happens. But guess what happens in business? The opposite. See, business is much more experiential. Business is around, well, I can sit here and try to figure out everything, but I'm never really going to know unless I do it. And when I do it, I need to get comfortable being uncomfortable that I'm wrong, because you're going to be wrong a lot. And that's not something that you're used to being. But in business, it's about being wrong, and it's about learning what made this not work out the way that I wanted to, and what can I do to fix it. See, so many people that I speak to get so caught up the fact that they were wrong, and now they feel bad and they feel ashamed and they feel all these things that they don't actually say, well, why can't you just figure out how to fix what you did and then just change it and try it again? Well, what if I'm wrong again? Well, then you'll fix it again. Well, what if I'm wrong again? Well, you know what? You'll fix it again. And you'll start making progress. You talked earlier about your quote, Jamey Schrier. Love Jamey Schrier. Heard him speak. Wonderful, wonderful guy. And he talked about, atomic habits, tiny habits. Big results come with tiny habits. Ask Tom Brady. Everyone else will talk about his Super Bowls. Everyone else what he talks about. I'm going home to work out on this. I'm going home to eat this way. I'm going home to practice, meditation or whatever he does. He created a habit that produced results. And all the best ones do. It's not a one-time thing. It's creating habits and having belief that if I continue to do this, the results will come. One of my mentors called the results byproducts. When you focus on what you're doing, you have all these byproducts happen. Money is a byproduct of the habits that you're doing. Generating referrals is a byproduct of the habits that you're doing. If you're not getting these things, look at what you do day in and day out. And I guarantee it's not around generating referrals or building relationships or delivering amazing care and making sure that you're following up with your people and delivering what we call patient delight, a high level of customer service. You're not focused on that. Whatever you focus on grows. Doesn't mean it's always the good stuff that grows. You focus on overwhelm, not intentionally, you become more overwhelmed. You don't have any time management boundaries, you become all over the place. You make bad decisions, they come back to haunt you. This is a journey, and it's a journey about being better, being more, about growing, about realizing you don't have it all figured out. If you don't accept that, and you hold on to this idea that you're a doctor and you're a physical therapist and you're one of the smartest people on the planet, which you are, you stay in the box. You stay in the box. All of us can have whatever the hell we want to have, as long as you're willing to put the work in, and as long as you're willing to lean into these fears and worries. And you and I were talking earlier about, I go, man, I see you everywhere. You're on Facebook, you're here, you're on Instagram, you're doing it all. And you're like, Jamey, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I go, I know, welcome to the club. All of us feel like we're an imposter. All of us feel. And you know what? That's okay. Because the last thing you want to feel is like you have it all figured out and you're superior. Because that will then limit your wanting to grow and wanting to get better. And that's what I believe this journey that we're on, the journey of, I just want to get a little bit better each day. Just a little bit better each day, to learn one thing I can use, to meet one person, to learn one nugget, to move my business a little bit further ahead, to move closer to what I want. They're not teaching us this in school. That's not what school's about. It's to graduate, to pass the boards, so then you can become a licensed therapist. That's it. That's their goal, period. Everything else is up to us.
Yeah, no, you're right, Jamey. I mean, you're laying down the foundation for the revolution. Help us just
You're damn right,
get
man.
done.
We're in a fight.
Yeah,
The small private practice owner, the entrepreneur, the visionary is at risk right now. The big companies are coming in, swooping in. Well, they ain't going to swoop in everybody.
Mm-hmm.
There are 350 million people that need our services at one time or another. There are plenty of people out there. And the big companies and the corporations, they ain't going to be able to handle and treat everybody. So competition, what competition? The only competition is between your ears.
Mm-hmm.
What are you willing to do to get what you want? We talked about Tom Brady. He was willing to sacrifice his diet, his exercise, his family at times, because he was laser focused. And it's amazing when you provide that preparation. It's amazing how much luck you seem to have, mm-hmm. and how the odds kind of lean into your favor. Not all the time. He lost a little bit ago.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's failed a lot more than he succeeded.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, we all do. What is the saying? You know, you fail, 6.5 times out of 10, you'll get into the Hall of Fame in baseball. Right? You strike out 6.5 times. You bet 350. You're getting into the Hall.
Yeah,
for sure. So it's hard to think like this when you're kind of in there day in and day out grinding. But I think this is where we need time to think and time for ourselves and time to explore. This is our life. Yeah. What is it that you want? You're a smart physical therapist. Dude, what do you want? We want to help people. So how do you want to help people? How do you want to impact others, but at the same time, fulfill who you are? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then let's raise your business acumen to learn how to do it in a way that you can, financially make what you want, support your family, create a business, create a staff, create a team.
Yeah. It's interesting. I have I have friends on both spectrums, right? And I guess I'm in the middle. So I've been practicing, for about 11 years now. It's been fantastic, and working for various companies, etc., doing home care also on my own, and seeing my own private patients. So there's a number of different streams that I'm connected to. I do have some friends who are private practice owners, and they're out there, and all they talk about is how hard it is right now to do things. And I don't know if it's because of the way they're doing things individually, or just the nature of healthcare right now, but they just say that they're working so hard, they're doing so many things, they don't enjoy it. And this is not all of them. This is just a handful, right? I have a number of other private owners who love the environment that they're in, love their staff, love their teams, are doing very, very well. And all my friends are doing well, but just the stress levels for some are higher than others. And then I have some other friends who have yet to take the leap. They are working for companies that are the ones that you're talking about, the ones that are going out there and scooping up those small businesses. They work for those companies, and they're fearful to go on the other side to be any kind of a practice owner, because they're afraid that at some point in time they may get scooped up, because in their mind it's safer and more comfortable to stay where they are now than to go out there and to risk being scooped up by a bigger entity.
You said a great word there, Sean. You said the word risk. As an industry, as a profession, we are risk adverse, right? I mean, we are. Even though we risked several $100,000 and many years of our life trying to get into a program that we had no guarantee. We went into a program, those fortunate enough to get in, graduated, passed the boards with no guarantee we were going to get a job. And now we have a job, and there's no guarantee we're going to keep the job. So look how much risk we took. Look how much sacrifice we took. But no one ever talks about that. Do you know why? Because they were just focused on what they wanted. I want to be a physical therapist more than anything else. And they didn't question what they had to do to get it. They didn't see all of the mountains, all of the rivers that they had to climb and go through. All they focused on is what it's going to be like when they call me Dr. Thomas. And I'm helping the people and I'm changing lives. You see, I don't know what's going on with the people that are saying it's hard. It can be hard. At times it is hard. But, you know, you have to look at, well, what are you doing that makes it so hard? Why is it so overwhelming to you? But if you're not open to learning something new and different, well, then it's going to stay hard. Just like a patient, my back is hurting. Well, let me take a look at it. My back is hurting. Let me take a look at it. You know, back's hurting. Can you do something? I don't know. Let me take a look at it. And all they do is go around and complain how their back is hurting, but they do nothing for it. We see people like that well, we don't see them, but we hear people like that all the time. A lot of times our neighbors. What do I got to do to fix my back? Well, let me take a look. I don't know. I mean, we might be able to help you out. If not, I can point you in the right direction. I know, but it's really hurting. Can you do something for me? I don't know. Why don't you come? I mean, these are the conversations I had with my neighbors, especially guys.
Right.
It's unbelievable. So I digress, but there's a way. I mean, you know, when I say there's a practice freedom method, it's not step-by-step cookie cutter, but there's a method to build a successful business, specifically in this service-oriented healthcare business. It took me 9 years to figure it out, but I figured it out. And it's not bells and whistles and all. It's just tried and true principles of people and principles of looking at numbers and data and principles of, you know, looking at how you think about things in your time. Isn't it interesting how to build a business is no different than how you treat a patient? Well, you got to talk to them and assess what's going on and do some objective measures to get some objectivity. And then you put it together and you come up with a theory, an assessment, and then you figure out a plan. And guess what happens, Sean? Have you ever been wrong with the plan that you've given one of your patients ever? I bet you have in the last week. And guess what you did? Oh my God, I can't believe. No, you didn't complain about it. You said, hey, you know what? There's some things that we're doing well, but you know what? There's some areas that are not working. Let's reassess what's going on. We do this every single day with our patients. Do you think doing it in your business is any different? You try something with a theory of why you're doing it. You assess how it's doing it. This is where your metrics come in. And if it's not doing it the way you want, you figure out, okay, well, what do I have to do to improve it? And then you try that and you assess again until you figure out, okay, this is working well. Then you memorialize it with a system or a process. Do we not do this every day with our patients? We are testing things. We are trying things. We are trying to use best practices in our wisdom and our knowledge and research. We're using all of these things. There's no guarantee. Building your business is the exact same thing, but you have to shift your mindset to the different elements around business. Referrals and leads and metrics and systems. It's just different terminology. It's your different anatomy. You got to learn a different anatomy of business. That's all, which was the first course everybody took. Without anatomy, it'd be tough to learn anything else.
True. That's true. That's very true. I think the, your book really lays out foundations that, and I practice these things, but just, when you read it and it's in a compact setting like this, it does highlight the overall picture, the bigger picture of what we should be doing. And I think a number of clinicians do, in terms of clientele and making relationships and, if you're a director, the way you treat your staff and all these things, they weren't so much new, all of them. I mean, many of the concepts were, but most of them I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. And that's obvious. And yeah, I do that.
You mean in my book?
Yeah, in your book. Absolutely.
Man, there ain't nothing new in my book. I stole it from everybody else.
Right. But I think the way that you packaged it, though, and the way that you present it, it does give you not just a refresher what we should be doing on a daily basis. I do think as clinicians, we get jaded in terms of how we treat. The same way you treat someone or you may be seeing someone for OA or whatever else, and you kind of get in a rut of just doing the same things over and over and over again. You forget that, you sometimes got to change things up a little bit to modify for everyone who may be a little different. And I think your book give me a refresher to say, look, you know, your staff may need different approaches to how you treat each of them. Although it's going to be always in a positive way, it needs to sometimes just be different. Your clientele, the same way. And relationships are the same for both of those things, whether you're trying to connect with a patient or connect with a staff member or to build your company or your clinic. All those things should, from you to your A's to your front, come together to make that entity so much more successful. I think your book really outlined a lot of just practical things that we as clinicians know, but sometimes get lost in terms of treating and fatigue and just, we just forget. We just kind of get lost in the sauce. But your book really highlighted those things and reminded me of why I love doing what I'm doing and why I still want to go out there and take it to the next level to do my own thing. Because I think the greatest challenge for me has been the freedom, right? I want that freedom. I mean, all my close friends, I think I mentioned to you, they're all entrepreneurs. One's a dentist, he has his own dental spot. One's an attorney, he has his own legal thing. One's in the food industry, he has a number of food businesses. And all of them come to me and say, Sean, what's going on? What are you doing? When are we doing this? And for the longest time, I've been like, I'm coming, guys. I promise. But the time is now. And I think that your book for me, not just laying down the foundations for how a clinic should be run and the business should be laid foundationally, but just you just mentally getting in the mindset to see what can truly be if you recognize that, yes, you've done all these things. And you mentioned the risks. We've taken so many risks in our lives already. What's another risk going to be, especially if it's a risk that can bring you even more of the things that you want to be free from? So that's why I think your book is great, Jamey. And again, it's nothing that's like astronomically, oh, this I've never thought about that. But put it all together, no, I had never seen the entire picture until I read your book. So I do appreciate you for that.
Well, good. And I'm going to hold you to moving towards this vision that you want, because you'll know what it took your friends to start their own businesses. You can't think that way. There is a level of fear. There is a level of what if. But you know what? What's the worst that can happen? You got your license, still a PT. You can fall back to treating and, doing your thing if you really want. But what if it works? What if it works as well as you think it could? What if it actually works better? What would your life be like? What would your family's lives be like? How would you feel if you had the life, had the control, had the freedom, as you say? What would happen? Because you know where your life is now, based on your job and what you're doing and your day in and day out. So you get to decide that. We all get to choose what we do. And we all get to create the narratives for ourselves. We all create our own stories. If something doesn't work out for us, we create a story of why it didn't. If something works out, we create the story of why it did. There's no facts to the story. It's our story, right? We like stories. We like movies. We like plays. I mean, life is, about telling stories. So the question is, what story are you going to choose to tell yourself? Yeah. That's it, Sean. What story are you going to tell yourself? Because some of your friends are telling the story that this is hard. Others, this is awesome. Right. Others, whatever. It's just a story. The story based on what they see, their experience, which could be truth, could be a little bit of bias. We all have biases, right? Yeah. So, when I was going through this journey, and I share, not even all of them. There were so many darn mishaps and problems and, being investigated and arrest and everything in the world going on in this book. And you can pick up the book at practicefreedomu.com. You can pick up a digital version of the book, or you can go to Amazon and pick up a hard copy. But, every time it happened, I looked at my wife and I go, man, that's going to be a story one day for somebody. So even though I'm getting pulled into the Board of Examiners office to be asked 156 questions by the investigator, because one of my therapists was stupid enough to improperly touch a young woman in a consult back exam, and then the cops arrested him when she went and told somebody. I go home to my wife, who thinks I'm about to go to jail, and I said, I didn't do it, but she didn't know. And I said, honey, this is going to be one hell of a story one day to somebody, that hopefully it will help them understand the importance of hiring the right people and doing due diligence and having clear systems and processes in place. See, that's what I learned from the experience. That's how I learned that stuff. So, we get to choose the story and the narrative, because I could have said, oh my God, woe is me, forget it. I'm not hiring someone ever again. It's just going to be a one-horse show, and that's the way it's going to be. I could have emotionally reacted to that and told myself that story. Mm-hmm. So you get to tell the story that you want to tell about you in your life. But I can tell you from where I'm sitting in my vantage point, you haven't scratched the surface of what you're capable of and the impact that you can make in other people's lives, starting with the impact you make in your own life. You haven't even scratched the surface. You've spent 10 years preparing. It's Sunday, baby. It's game time. Are you going to dress and get out on the field or not? Absolutely. Are you going to be more today?
Yeah, absolutely. Jamey, talk to the listeners about the bonus book.
Well, there's bonuses in there. So basically, the Practice Freedom Method is actually a course. It's called the PTPA, Physical Therapy Practice Accelerator. It's a course. It has online modules and scripts and walks you through, and videos and trainings and stuff like that. So what I wanted to do with the book is I wanted to offer, some of those resources for people that bought the book. So you can get resources from that. So there, I didn't want you just to read about it as, hey, if you want a checklist of how to hire people, and we could provide you a checklist.
Yeah, because that's the next step for me. I read the book, I've gone through it, and I am ready to start going through the bonus round, I guess, if you will, right? Yeah. But I do know that with that does come the commitment to say, let's do this. And I think the call to action for me is a place where I'm at now, but for other people who are where I'm at, or where even more ahead of me, right, who are already having their practices, but recognizing, like I said earlier, they're struggling, they're going through issues, it's not where they want to be. I have some friends who are dear to me, who literally, and I'm not saying they deterred my decision to do this, but when I talk to them, some of their responses is, yeah, stay where you are. But I know that I don't want to stay where I am. I know that there's bigger. And it makes me think, well, maybe they're not doing it the right way. And then when I read your book, I said, well, there has to be, if Jamey's saying that these things are possible, and this person is saying that that's happening, there must be a disconnect. So what advice would you give, as we kind of wrap up, to those people who are already out there, they're doing things, but they don't think, they're doing things in a way that they think is okay, it's profitable to an extent, but they're not happy, but they're not taking any steps to change that. What advice would you give to them?
Well, building a business, building a business is not easy, right? It is hard at times. There is ups and downs. So before you dive into strategies, before you dive into how to, you have to look at, well, what's really going on in my business? How am I doing in the different areas of my business? And what I've created is called a PT practice quiz. Because what I realize is, when you take these questions, like I ask you, a bunch of questions, it takes about 5 minutes to do. I ask you a bunch of questions around your business, and then you grade yourself on your business. once you actually see a picture of your business, looking at leadership, operations, referrals, financials, hiring, management, when you get to see the picture, there's a lot of things that you probably have are doing really well. And there's some glaring things. But what's interesting, it may not be the things you think they are. So the first thing that I would suggest to anyone to do is go to practicefreedomu.com/be-more-today and take the PT practice quiz. It'll take you 5 minutes and you'll have a clear picture of what's going on in your business. I give you an explanation, kind of a report, depending on where you fall in your business. And then I offer help in what to do, how to strategize and overcome those areas that you're having trouble with. So it's a free quiz. It takes 5 minutes to do, but it's something that I realized that people were trying to solve problems that weren't necessarily the problem. So we got to get clear on what the problem is. This quiz in 5 minutes is going to tell you exactly what's going on in your business and give you the starting point of what you need to do about it, and then how to then begin to overcome and implement the things to help you. So practicefreedomu.com/be-more-today. Take the quiz, takes 5 minutes.
Awesome, Jamey. I appreciate you doing that. And I'll add that to the show notes as well for those of you out there who are practice owners and you're struggling. I'm trying to be where you are, but if you're struggling, we have to move forward together. So take that quiz that Jamey and his team has put out there, and let's all just figure out how to be better so we can get that practice freedom that Jamey's talking about. Jamey, I'm just so excited. Again, every time I talk to you, I get hyped. I need to have you on speed dial because there are days where I'm like, what's going on? What should I do? But every time I talk to you, I'm like, you know what? Refocus, revamp, pivot. Let's change. Let's shift. Let's keep moving. And I'm excited for the future. I'm excited for the steps I'm taking. And I know that your book has been a foundation for me to get there. And I will continue to progress with your help and your leadership. So thank you so much for being, again, a guest on Be More Today's show, season 3, episode 88. You have made this episode one for the books. I really appreciate you.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you having me on.
No problem. And again, folks, the quote from today by Jamey Schrier: success is the product of daily habits, not once in a lifetime transformation. I mean, Jamey said it best. You already know this is the journey, and the fear we have, the risk that we have to take. You've taken risk all your life. You've been fearful of things your entire life, but you push past those things to get what you wanted to get done. If you want it bad enough, you have to go get it. And I'm going to make this season 3 for me, one where I know I say a lot of things. I put a lot of things out there. We talk about being more and being the best version of us and you're the best project you ever work on, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But if you're not going to put those words into action, if you're not going to take your steps to greatness to be the best version of you, then what's the point? So I'm going to make sure that I use my words. I put them in play this year, even more than before. And I hope you hold me accountable, because I've been holding you accountable since we started this journey. I will continue to do so as we move forward. As always, folks, Be More Today shows everywhere. Your favorite podcast platforms. Check them out, and check out Jamey's show as well. Jamey, give them your hashtag for your show again, or the name of your show again, your podcast.
Oh man, yes, we just launched it with my good friend Jimmy McKay. We launched the PT Hot Seat. So type in PT Hot Seat on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts, and check it out. Thanks for the plug.
No problem. PT Hot Seat. It's new podcast. It's going to be out there. It's going to be hot. You already know Jamey's doing this thing. So check out the PT podcast. And of course, Be More Today's show everywhere. As I always say, folks, have a good day. Have a good night. Have a great life, and continue to take your steps to greatness to be the best version of you. We'll see you next week. Peace.